Welcome to Austin, Texas, where everything's not just bigger, it's delicious.
Ideas are easy to find. Making money with is what you need to figure out. So I did.
So what are we making today?
Chef Bob is what I would call a food nerd. Chef has a smoker and does brisket as well as just about anybody in town.
Gentlemen?
Hey.
Brisket?
Bob's brisket is some of the best brisket you could ever eat.
I'm Michael Ponzio, and I've devoted my life to food. As a chef, author, and entrepreneur, my journey has shown me you can always have fun with culinary flair. I found some amazing culinary action happening at golf clubs across America. I'm gonna take you there. Oh my God. This is Fairway to Table. I've made it to the Lone Star State, where everything is bigger, the golf and the food. Our journey takes us to Austin Country Club, where they're cooking classic Texas barbecue in reimagined new ways. This clubhouse is amazing. You got to give me the all-access tour here.
I'm happy to do it. You know, we start out right here in our foyer, our lobby, and this is where we kind of begin to tell a little bit of the history of the club.
So what are the members like?
Our culture in the club is a lot like our city. Our city is built with a lot of people from a lot of different places around the country. They've all settled here in Austin. As you can see, some of the pictures over here that we have on the wall, these are all done by local Texas artists. That happens to be our clubhouse on Riverside Drive. That was our second clubhouse built back in 1949.
Now, that's the one that was built from the bricks from University of Texas, right?
Exactly right. That was built from the University of Texas. This is our current facility here at Davenport, where we are today. And we moved over here in 1984, and this actually is our first clubhouse, 1910.
Wow.
That was called Hancock. Lewis Hancock was the guy that actually founded Austin Country Club. And then over here, we've got a picture of Mr. Harvey Penick, who Harvey was the head golf professional here for 53 years.
He became a caddy at 8 years old, which I think is amazing. I mean, the fact that he became a pro at 18 is pretty cool, but a caddy at 8 is
no question about
incredible.
it. Not only do we take care of all of our members, but we also have to take care of the Dell Technologies World Golf Championship every spring. They get to see the 64 best players in the world come play their golf course that they play on a regular basis. And then right to your left here is what we call our little historical room.
Wow.
And we've got a lot of great things in here.
This is a treasure chest.
We're very fortunate to have 4 World Golf Hall of Fame members in Tom Kite, Ben Crenshaw, Harvey Penick, and of course, Pete Dye. Some of our recent winners in the World Golf Championship, Dell Technologies match play that we host here in the spring. And the center is really the kind of fun stuff.
This is incredible.
That little Scribblex book, that was the original Little Red Book. And in 1992, when that book was printed, it was the largest selling sports book of all times.
Wow.
And Harvey would take notes when he gave lessons to different students. And he would write them down in the book, and then he would tab them, as you can see, with his own little handmade tabs.
So these are his notes?
Those are his notes.
I feel bad. I took a piece of paper that earlier to write a recipe down.
I love it. I love it.
What's better here, the food or the golf?
Man, that's really putting me on the spot.
This is a great setup.
This is one of the best parts of Sunday right here.
Yeah.
With all of this. All right, so this is the Harvey Penick locker room.
This is incredible.
Yeah, this is a real special room. It's got a lot of memorabilia in it. A lot of our club trophies are in here. We're very fortunate that the Austin Country Club got inducted into the Texas Golf Hall of Fame.
I couldn't imagine literally walking out of a locker room, grab a shower, come out, sit down, and then eat a meal like what they prepare.
That's exactly right.
That's
and
incredible.
that's what makes this room so cool, you know.
This is something I want to do one day. I'd like to have the Mike Ponzio Invitational. It's just a meatball eating contest. And
that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
You
it's
put a
great.
meatball up on top of it.
No, I go
there.
on top. The trophy's in the shape of it. I have a whole vision.
I love it. That's great.
As a self-professed hunter-gatherer, Chef Bob Burns has dedicated his life to culinary. After 42 years in the private club industry, he develops Austin's enhanced menu with prime beef, direct source seafood, wild game, and some premium vegetables. The Beast, you call this smoker, right?
Yeah, well, it'll do 250 pounds of brisket.
All in one shot. Oh, look at the bark formation on those. I mean, this thing's a beauty.
And it's just salt and pepper.
Chef Bob, you've been the executive chef at Austin Country Club since 2008.
Yep.
and you have over 42 years of private club experience.
I do. My first training really was Asian food. I've always loved Asian food. But I found a mentor, and he took me under his wing and taught me a lot. And I used to come in with all these ideas. You know, I have this idea and that idea. And finally one day he said, Bob, ideas are easy to find. Making them work every day and making money with it is what you need to figure out. So I did.
You kind of have a quote, interest in the foods of other cultures is beginning to understanding each other and creating a common ground.
Well, I think if you care about what's important to somebody else, they open up to you. And I'll ask a guy from West Africa how his mom makes groundnut stew. So I'm always asking questions.
Chef Bob Burns believes in understanding where our food comes from and has always supported local farmers and ranchers. Unique Meats has helped gourmet culinary operations and clubs make serving wild game a reality. For my dish, I have this beautiful Axis venison that you brought in. This is just kind of like the Texas treasure, huh?
It is.
Fantastic.
More access in Texas than there is in India now, where they're originally from.
We're gonna take the brine chops here, cut them down to single chops. And normally I'd want to keep it nice and thick because I love a thick venison chop. But for what we're doing, it's gonna need to be thinned out a little. I'm using a 3-step breading process. Flour, beaten chicken egg, and panko breadcrumbs mixed with a lot of Parmesan cheese. Now it's time to brown these Axis chops in a pan with olive oil and finish in the oven for plate up. I've been in a lot of kitchens in my career, and not many have their very own wok station. It's a true testament to Chef Bob's passion for his Asian-inspired cooking style, and we put it to work making some kimchi fried rice.
And then I add the kimchi right at the end, so I don't kill any of the probiotics that I don't have to.
So by not heating it fully through, you're kind of preserving all the goodness and all the healthiness that's in there.
Yes.
And look at the colors on that. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
There we are.
Next, Chef Bob teaches us how to put the finishing touches on his Asian barbecue creation.
We do a Texas barbecue, and then we put gochujang in.
And later, we take our dishes center stage with some special guests. As our tour of Austin Country Club continues, Chef Bob Burns flexes his culinary creativity as he introduces us to his Asian-inspired Texas brisket with Korean fried brown rice, quinoa, gochujang, and a duck egg. I can't wait to see the plate up of this distinct Texas brisket. So what are we making today?
Well, we're going to cut this brisket and plate it with the fried rice we did.
The fried rice that we did earlier.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So we run the knife the long way on it.
Now you're separating the flat and the point.
That's correct. Take a little bit of
Look
that
how juicy
fat
that
off.
is, and tender. You have this process down to an art, don't you?
Well, we do a lot of them for the tournament.
You said for the tournament, I mean, that thing's running 250 a day?
250 pounds of
Right.
brisket we smoke, yeah.
I'm gonna cheat.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. And these motion muscles, I mean, to get them this tender take some serious work. And then you're adding the chopped whites.
Yeah, a little bit. And then I put a little micros in, have a little more flavor, a little bit of...
So what are these? These are pea tendrils?
Correct.
These things are just unbelievable. They get that fresh raw pea flavor.
And then this is our barbecue that we do. We do a Texas barbecue, and then we put gochujang in for the Korean flavor. You
Really bring in that
fermented
Korean
chili.
barbecue flavor.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
Since the Axis chop is already sauteed, it's ready to plate up with the sauce and greens. All right, Chef Bob, so kind of getting inspired by your whole thinking outside the box of Texas food and barbecue, I wanted to make an Axis chop, Parmesan breaded, and then build somewhat of a romesco sauce, but not as heavy, not as thick, more on the vinaigrette side, and with some of these local greens you got from your farmers as well.
That'll be good.
All right, let's get started. For my sauce, I start with roasted peppers that I pan-charred, tomatoes smoked in the beast, which add a sweetness and smoky flavor. I add in Marcona almonds, blend it up in the blender with some sherry vinegar for acidity, and finish with extra virgin olive oil and salt. There we go. All right. I want it to stay nice and chunky
Oh, okay.
to keep kind of running that texture.
I've never seen that before. I like that.
Let me know what you think. It's got a brightness and acidity. That little bit of smoke kind of comes through in the pop.
Yeah.
It's nice, simple.
It all kind of rides on that sherry vinegar.
These greens are absolutely gorgeous you brought in. I mean, the Tuscan kale is one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of hand-tearing my greens. Some fresh herbs in the mix. And then I'm gonna do just a touch of the olive oil in here.
So no vinegar, just the olive oil.
No vinegar. We got a lot of vinegar in this sauce. Bright, colorful greens. We're gonna add our chop to that. Nice, clean, simple. And then bring in that.
Yeah, I like that chunky.
Yeah, it's chunky. It definitely adds just a different kind of element to it. We can kind of hit around in a few spots as well, so when you're eating the greens, you can kind of pick up some of that too.
Right.
There you have it.
Sweet tooth, anyone? Pastry chef Michaela Arzola has been creating cakes, fresh bread, and dynamic desserts sweeping through the club.
Today, I have some pâte à choux dough prepared.
So pâte à choux is basically eclair, right?
Yes.
To
When you think of a cream puff, you think of an eclair. That's basically what it is, but it's so much better when you make it yourself. Now, eclairs and cream puffs, they're usually kind of like lumpy looking, but there's a new technique that's kind of like swept the nation. Pastry Nation, and it's putting a cracklin on top.
What's a cracklin?
It's an easy dough. It's basically sugar, butter, you cream it, and then you add in some flour, and that's basically it.
Basically a basic pie dough.
So once you put it on here and this rises in the oven with all the eggs, it kind of makes this like really nice crunchy texture on top.
Yeah, I mean, that's just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
So you're piping these?
Piping. So I have tiny hands. I don't like to fill my bag up too much. I feel like
That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of chefs, like, they get like hand problems. I always say don't overfill your bag. So you'll just pipe it smaller than your cracklin dough. And
Now these are little. I mean, these are gonna puff up quite a bit, right?
yeah, that's basically how I piped these earlier, like pretty small.
The last step is to top with cracklin and bake at 325 to 350 for a half an hour.
Can we fill them?
Yes.
And what are you putting in there?
This is a vanilla bean white chocolate mousse.
It looks amazing.
And I'll just kind of swipe off the side. And you want to do a small amount of even pressure, and that way it gets filled totally without any air pockets. And you can feel it when you start to pipe it that it's expanding.
So what's the next step for these?
The next step is just to eat them, honestly.
Seriously?
At this point, they're ready to go. Yeah.
I didn't ask permission.
There you go. It's ready. And it's like
my
totally filled with...
It tastes like melted ice cream in there. It's incredible. Gentlemen?
Hey. Brisket.
Coming up, we take our dishes center stage with some special guests.
What's the secret to get the really moist brisket like this?
My first taste of local Texas barbecue, I can't wait to test Wayne's creations.
Wow.
You're the proud papa.
I'll tell you what, I would be a proud papa. This is crazy.
Chef Bob and I have put the final touches on our entrees,
Put gochujang in for the Korean flavor.
and later, we put our unique dishes to the ultimate showdown.
It has this extra crunch, and the flavor in that is what really adds something to it that I've never had.
When people say everything is bigger in Texas, that also applies to the food, especially in Austin. From vintage Tex-Mex to barbecue, I took my journey to the streets on Chef Bob's recommendation to see why local flavor is everything.
You can't come to Texas and not dive into some really amazing smoked beef. I rolled up my sleeves and cooked alongside barbecue legend Wayne Miller over at Louis Miller Barbecue.
Not much has changed since Louis Miller lit the first fire in 1949. The religion and art of Texas barbecue still remains true today.
I started taking to calling myself a culinary alchemist. Cooking brisket is a process. That process is the philosopher's stone that everybody's so desperately looking to turn that lead into gold. It's horizontal airflow that made cooking brisket possible. And it was found that if we can push air sideways so we can cook it at a little bit lower temperature, then literally we can cook that brisket at multiple temperatures at the same time. You get a nice even cook in something that you should never be able to get an even cook on.
Right.
One of the tricks to any pitmaster process is resting the meat. It's all about the temperature.
We really want to collect and hold all of the heat that is encompassed in this cut of meat right now. Most of that heat is in the form of water vapor, so we don't want to lose any of that water vapor.
It's like a magic method with that.
So this is layer one, right?
Okay.
Layer two is there's another form of heat that we're also trying to capture, and that's radiant heat. This pulp is an insulator, and it has a tendency to want to grab hold of and not allow things like heat to pass through very easily. This will take resident in here, and then it just chills out. I mean, these are no more than, say, anybody's, you know, ice chest at home.
A beer cooler at home.
Yep.
It's time to prepare one of Wayne's classic platters, his dinosaur bone-in short rib, beef brisket, pork, and sausage.
I seriously have to give you some credit for that one. That's pretty incredible. There is nothing, oh my God, there is nothing like that.
This is a plate rib.
Yep.
I wanted something that was uniquely Texan in every way. Big, bold, you know, John Wayne on a stick.
Yeah.
You know, and this fit the bill in every way imaginable.
I hear people call this thing the dinosaur rib. I hear it. Wow.
You're the proud papa.
I'll tell you what, I would be a proud papa. This is crazy. Oh my goodness.
So that's one rib, 2.5 pounds. Since we know these are for sharing.
Sharing with who?
This is the centerpiece.
That's gorgeous. So this is kind of like the test of great Texas barbecue. When it all comes apart and stays together at the same time, that says something about brisket.
Beef sausage.
So it's a straight brisket sausage.
100%.
Really? I don't know if I've ever had 100% brisket sausage. I mean, look at that smoke ring on your ribs. Yeah, I seriously have to give you some credit for that one. That's pretty incredible.
My first chance at Texas barbecue, I cannot wait to try Wayne's creation.
My first Texas barbecue. Real Texas, in Texas.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, so I didn't tell you that yet, but this is,
In the name of the salt, and the pepper, and the holy smoke, wait no longer. You either hit it or you don't. Pepper's a 5th food group for us here.
That is so moist. The bark is incredible. That pepper flavor is just, it's not overwhelming at all. It's perfect.
Right on.
A burnt end, I mean, the brisket treasure, you can't get better than that.
No, you really can't. That's happiness in a bite.
You don't need a knife at all. It just pulled right apart.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
When you can go into a place that hasn't really changed much optically, and the food hasn't much changed at all, we've been pushing 70 years. Look, I'm just a curator of this sort of museum.
You win. I quit. That is the best piece of smoked beef I've ever had in my life. I mean, the coolest thing about it is it's salt, pepper, and fire. It's simplicity and its finest. That's what's so special about Texas barbecue is it's not trying to do all these crazy seasonings and techniques. You're just putting heart and touch into it. To see classic Texas barbecue tied into something a little new age and different, it's really well executed.
Up next, the pressure is on as Chef Bob and I take our dishes to the members for the ultimate test.
They've got to nail it every single time.
You can't be just occasionally great.
If you're not passionate about it, why are you giving up a day of your life?
Welcome to Austin, Texas, where everything's not just bigger, it's delicious.
At a club, they expect the best food, but they want a menu that evolves.
We've got 1,300 families. They're going to come back.
Oh my God.
After our culinary creations were finally perfected in the kitchen, it was time to serve our judges. First up, Chef Bob.
Gentlemen?
Hey.
Got 2 dishes. I made one. Chef Ponzio made one. Beautiful. This is brisket that we normally do in our smoker, but I've changed it up a little bit with a quinoa and brown fried rice and put a little kimchi in it. And then it has a Korean barbecue. It's our regular Texas barbecue with a little gochujang in it.
That brisket's great. Local barbecue places have nothing over you.
I mean, it was a fantastic brisket.
Really good brisket.
It's really tender. Bob's brisket is some of the best brisket you could ever eat.
And I think putting an egg on anything makes it better. That's delicious.
Yeah, the yolk really adds a ton to the dish.
That is really good.
But the crunchiness still, the vegetables, it all
yeah.
kind of ties together so great.
Chef Bob is what I I would call a food nerd. He loves food. He is so into it. He likes talking about it. He likes experimenting with it. I mean, it's his passion.
To see classic Texas barbecue tied into something a little new age and different is just really well executed.
And delicious. Brisket's always a good thing, but sometimes you get too much of brisket, beans, and rice. But this is different. This is a whole new way to eat brisket. I love it.
Awesome.
We eat here once a week. It's kind of our family meal. That's an awesome smoker you have in there. We eat as a family, and the food is great.
Now that the beef brisket's down, it's time to try out my entree.
I figured I'd try my hand at some Texas venison. So we have an Axis chop here. The smoked tomato sauce, a little bit of Marcona almonds ground in there, roasted bell peppers, some local greens.
Looks great. Smells delicious. I've never had it with that kind of that crunch to it. It's delicious. I mean, that's why I love that. I mean, yeah, that's what's different. I mean, Axis is always amazing, but it has this extra crunch, and the flavor in that is what really adds something to it that I've never had. That's unique.
And you cooked it perfectly. I've had a lot of venison over the years, but I've never had one like that with the Italian flair that he brought to the table. I thought it was absolutely delicious.
Well, Chef does cook the Axis, and I often order it in here. But this may be a new way you have to consider, because this is exceptional. The dish was truly unique. I mean, Axis cooked that way with the panko crust on it is something that I've never had before. It's something I hope Chef Optimizator's put on the menu here, because I think it's worthwhile.
The additional flavors in the sauce, and I love that hint of vinegar in there. That is so good.
And that's why I left the salad just dressed with olive oil and salt, so you can actually taste the greens. You have all the residual juices on the plate. Is this something that you could see fitting in your theme, in your meals here?
Yes. Absolutely.
Do I get cowboy boots now? Can I become Texan?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
At least a hat.
Taking the Allen's boots after this.
It looks like my Parmesan crusted Axis chop was a winner with the members. I think it's time to celebrate with some dessert.
So what I did is I did a layered creme brulee. It's got a blueberry base with like some Texas blueberries and some Texas Meyer lemon custard on top. So like we're super lucky to have like some really good local flair. And in the center, it's just that cream puff that we worked on earlier with like a little bit of vanilla bean white chocolate flavor, and then a sweet tea granita with a little bit of micro mint.
It's fantastic. These kind of flavors, they're different, but they're approachable. They're adventurous, but they're safe. I mean, it's really, really cool.
What is in the cream puff in the middle? That is ridiculous. Yeah.
It's a mousse. It's kind of like a cream cheese-based white chocolate and vanilla bean mousse.
It has that punch in there. That is amazing. You take a bite of that, you're not expecting it. That was delicious.
I love all three of these, but I'm a creme brulee junkie. This is such a wonderful hybrid that it's just out of this world.
The little surprise at the
bottom.
bottom.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's delicious.
Fantastic.
It's just delicious.
Maybe next time we just use a larger bowl for it. I would have taken a little more.
A bath cup.
Yeah, exactly. And you're supporting local, which is always good
Which
as well.
is amazing,
Yeah,
absolutely.
If there's one thing I've learned in Austin, it is so much more than just a beef and barbecue town. It's really genuine how they feel about your food here. It's a tribute to you. It's incredible.
I don't want to leave. I like it here.